Let's just dip into some of those. So obviously the big rematch, November the 21st. How's Dillian's mindset right now? I know he's on the phone to you most days.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think when you suffer a defeat like that, especially when you're in control of the fight, you just want to put it right. And it's taken him a little bit of time. You know, you saw the interview here straight after, get me the rematch. That's really been the flow of the phone calls ever since that fight. But he's needed a little rest. He's been doing small bits, but he's had, you know, coming up to a month off now, and that's been important for him to regroup. The hunger is burning inside Dillian Whyte to revenge this loss to Alexander Povetkin. And, you know, speaking to World of Boxing and Povetkin's team, they fancy this fight big time. They just won by knockout a few weeks ago. So it's a massive fight for Povetkin, massive fight for Whyte. You know, and you go from, obviously, we know that the winner's mandatory to the winner of Tyson Fury and Deontay Wilder, but Dillian Whyte's really fighting for his world championship career on November 21st. Very risky to come back. He wants to do it. He believes he can revenge the loss. And it's a massive fight for the division.
And how quickly did you actually activate the rematch? Was it sort of the Monday after the
Yeah,
first
pretty
fight?
much. I mean, I spoke to Vadim Kornlov, who works with World of Boxing, and Andrei Rybinski, and I just said to them, look, if we don't do it now, we know that Joshua's fighting in December, so if we don't do it in November, you're going to be waiting until next spring. That was bad news for Dillian Whyte, but Alexander Povetkin as well. You know, he feels like the knockdowns in the fight weren't that heavy for him, so he feels quite refreshed. A few weeks breaks. I think these guys want to fight. You know, Alexander Povetkin, he's getting on. He feels like he's in the prime of his career soon. So why wait? You know, and obviously for Dillian, he didn't want to wait. You know, he didn't want to wait one more day. It was hard enough pushing him to November the 21st.
Any venues in play that you can reveal?
Well, this is the big thing now. You know, I think this was supposed to be phase 2. Kind of wish like we'd kept this thing up now, you know, but I think it was time to call an end to Fight Camp. And now phase 2 is about getting fans back into the arenas. And that's going to be the most difficult thing. We were bang on track for that, for the Buatsi fight. Of course, we've seen a little increase in the numbers, and I think there may be a slight delay now to bring in fans back, or certainly bring back the numbers that we anticipated for the Buatsi card. But, you know, I'm hoping still, and we should hear this week, if we can bring fans in for the Buatsi card. And that's when we'll finalise the venues, because until then, obviously, if we have fans, we need different kind of venues to if we haven't got fans. So we've got some illustrious plans, but really the key and the aim for us is to drive people back into the venue. And hopefully we can do that. And if we do that, we'll be in full-blown venues rather than, you know, these gimmicky places like the Garden or wherever we go next. So a full decision will be made on venues once we know the likelihood of actually bringing fans into the arenas. Certainly by the Dillian Whyte Povetkin card, you know, we're hopeful that we can get a few thousand in for that, and obviously leading into the Anthony Joshua Pulev fight, which we hope to announce in the next couple of weeks.
If you could just touch, then really switch gears, that while MMA is on fire, there's a dumpster fire going on across the street. You got De La Hoya coming back, Tyson and Jones fighting. How is it that boxing is just falling apart when MMA is thriving? You can't even piggyback off of your success, maybe?
I don't know. That's a tough question to answer. I mean, I could give you 1,000 reasons why boxing is in trouble. I've been saying it for 20 years, and now we're getting to the point where it's, you know, it's really bad. It's in big trouble, and the #1 reason is because these promoters that have been, you know, doing this for 30, 40 years never invested money back into every boxing match that goes on is a going out of business sale. Let's get as much money as we can from these people and get the fuck out of town. That's a boxing match. And that's just not how you run a business. That's not how you build a sport, and it's not how you create longevity in your sport. You know, if you look at things from the headquarters to the PI to the Apex to what we're doing in China and all these other places around the world, those are all investments in the sport. You know, so we invest in the sport. The Contender Series is an investment in the athletes. I mean, these people come in, the Ultimate Fighter, the Contender, you know, kids come off this show. You know, I was just in the war room today. Yusuf's first fight, Yusuf, when he fought on the Contender Series, is up to 6.6 million viewers. 6.6 million people saw his first fight in the Contender Series. O'Malley is at 5-point-something million. You know, list goes on and on. The lowest number from the first season of the Contender Series is like 797,000 viewers. These are these kids' first fight before they're ever in the UFC. I say their first fight, meaning before the UFC. But that many people watch you fight, for your first fight ever before you're even in the UFC, it's big for these kids.
Speaking of the road to undisputed, your good friend Tyson Fury, I see, is back in the gym. Sugar Hill Stewart over from the US into the UK to help him train for that trilogy fight against Deontay Wilder. Have you spoke to Tyson recently?
Yeah, I saw him actually. We was in London together a couple of weeks back. Just had a catch up, and you know, he's in good spirits. He's in a good place. You know, so it's great to see.
I know you played a pivotal role in obviously getting him back mentally and obviously physically before that fantastic first showdown with Deontay Wilder. But it must be incredibly proud as a friend of his to see where he's at right now and to see that he's maintained that level of in his head at the moment, especially through these weird times, because it's quite easy, and I'm sure there's a lot of people watching this right now that are going through some difficult moments, and Tyson Fury's kind of been a rod of inspiration for a lot of people during this time.
Yes, yeah, you know, obviously everybody knows where he come from, and what sort of position he was, what sort of mindset he was, where he was physically. So, you know, I know that on his bad days, what his goal was when he had a negative approach and a negative mindset, and I know where his goals was when he had a positive approach. And for him to have gone on and achieved what he's achieved and done what he's done, and you know, it's great to see, and it's something really special, because there was lots of times when lots of people, and even the closest to him, weren't too sure he'd be able to get back and go on and never mind achieve more. And that's what he's gone on to do, you know. And he beat even his biggest supporters. He's beat their expectations.